You know, I'll edit this, so if you say anything racist on accident, I'll take that out. You don't have to worry about that. All right?
Racist?
Yeah. You know, if you're off the cuff.
What you mean, like swear words?
Oh.
Why would I
No, I
say
meant
anything
racist.
racist?
I have no idea why you would, but if you accidentally
There's
did.
nothing racial about this movie except that they were white people. Is that a problem with you?
It's a whitewashed story, Ma. Alright, welcome to Nobody's Deathmatch. I'm joined by my very own mother, Donna. Hello, Ma. You can say hello.
Hi, son.
Oh, good.
I'm happy to be here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
So my heart's beating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. It is 10 in the morning,
and I
so.
might have to go to the bathroom.
Okay. You can call for an intermission whenever you want.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I'm ready.
All right. So today's this episode we're going to be discussing a not very well known made-for-TV movie based on a Ray Bradbury short story. The movie is called Electric Grandmother. I think it's from late 80s and
Early 80s.
early. Oh, you actually have the year down there and all that. Okay, you're better prepared than I am. Let's see. I'll do a quick plot summary, and then we'll share what we remember about this. All right. Electric Grandmother. It's like a waking nightmare. It's about a family in grief. They have an empty void, like a insurmountable loss. They're page one, basically. The mother, the matriarch of the family, has died. The children are grieving, and the dad doesn't really know. Like he's inadequate as a father. He doesn't know how to help his children grieve, and they end up going to this factory where there's a evil
Fantocini Limited.
Thank you. You go to Fantocini's factory. They got robot grandmothers, correct?
Correct.
And you pick your specs. You say I want a brown-eyed, gray-haired grandma. They'll send it to you in a sarcophagus on a helicopter. Nothing unusual about that. And then they drop it off for you, and they give you a 30-day trial, much like a Casper mattress, and then you can send it back if you don't like it. It's perfect. It's a perfectly normal human connection.
Well, everybody has to be happy with her.
Yes.
If one person is not happy,
indeed,
she goes back to the factory.
And then do they just melt her down and make more grandmas? What happens to the grandmas that they send back?
No, they blend into all the other grandmothers.
Okay.
It's a generic grandmother factory. Go ahead.
That's the main plot summary. We'll get to the closing.
We'll flesh it out.
Well, thanks, Mom. So, I remember, and I actually talked to Carrie, your daughter, my sister, about this too.
You started this whole thing.
Right, and this was definitely like one of our greatest hits of childhood, of like watching it pretty frequently. But like neither one of us could actually like admit to being the one who requested it. Neither one of us remembers actually asking for it to be put on the TV. So I'm pretty sure you just like plugged it in, and you're like, "You'll be sorry when I'm gone. Why don't you watch this movie?"
I don't remember it that way.
Oh, really?
I remember watching it as a family and enjoying it. And I wept. Go ahead.
It's hard for me to... I don't remember how I felt. Like, I was enjoying, like, scary stories and, like, Ray Bradbury and Goosebumps and stuff. So I definitely had, like, a threshold for the weird and the odd. But this, like, definitely surpasses what is conventional, you know.
Well, what specifically do you remember that was frightening to you?
The electric grandmother is what I remember.
The whole electric...
Yeah,
You said you remember...
The robot woman.
Well, she was a real person.
And the factory with the weird scientist pervert guy.
Okay.
And the music is haunting.
Okay.
And yeah, from opening credits to closing scene. What do you remember?
Well, see, I looked at it from a parent perspective. You looked at it from a child perspective.
Okay.
And so as a parent, it was heartwarming to me because it was generational. It was children that had a loss, It was a father that didn't know what to do. He just stared at his children like, what am I going to do now?
Right.
And then this opportunity. Oh, and then Aunt Clara. Remember, she came in.
She
Nobody
sucks.
liked her.
Aunt Claire sucks, right? We can agree on
she
that?
sucked. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Kind of like, well, I won't go there.
Kind of like what? Oh.
Oh, no, I shouldn't have said it. Can you edit that?
Yeah, I'll edit it out. It's
Okay.
fine.
And then the role of the grandmother, which I am now,
Mm-hmm.
and the unlimited love and listening that she had for the children. So I only knew it as the parent. And it was, to me, it was the,
Sorry.
the generational transition from a
Okay.
child to a parent.
So when you were watching it, when you weren't a grandma and it was just me and Carrie, were you identifying with any particular character as opposed to how you identify now?
I was thinking how much my grandmother meant to me.
Oh.
And she was the only one that listened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, this is one of the movies that made me cry. It made me cry 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
When, well, we'll get to that later, but that I actually wept. And when I watched it again after all these years,
Yeah.
I wept in the same places. I mean,
Okay.
I don't cry real tears.
Yeah.
But I cried real tears.
You don't cry real tears? Are they electric
And
grandmother
I'm not a crier.
tears?
I'm not a crier. It was the transition of the children growing up to college and leaving home.
Yeah.
It was the transition of the elderly where I am now,
Oh.
and her coming back to help, and that unconditional love that she would always be there.
I get that. I think that the sentimental factor of the movie and the generational
And maybe you don't
divide.
have sentiment there.
I am very sentimental. I think I can admit that there's some of that here, but I think it's their execution of going to the bazaar and the Twisted.
That was no different than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It was extremely different than
No, it wasn't. I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he was weird and odd and wore strange clothes and all those bumpkin things that were running around and doing music. Oh, this guy was odd too.
The weird robot creator, the robotnist, as it were, in this movie, he's equal parts Willy Wonka, but then like Ed Gein, he's like a serial killer on the side too. When you go into his weird factory.
Well, actually, one of the reviewers called him a child predator.
Yeah.
Would you consider him a child predator?
I didn't see.
Odd. He was very odd.
He was odd, but he was like the Willy Wonka, where he's like kind of the he's the adult who hasn't grown up or whatever, where it's like dad is like very much he kind of seems like old school like 50s dad, or like maybe
kind
even like
hapless.
even like Wonder Years.
Yeah,
He's just he goes to work, comes home, and that's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have anything to offer emotionally. But then the scientist or the botanist or the robotanist, like Willy Wonka.
His name is Guido, by the way.
His name's Guido?
His name is Guido.
Where'd you get that from?
I did my research.
He introduces himself
What
as...
did you do?
He's Guido? Isn't that a racial slur? I think you've already... got...
Now here you are bringing up racial. I had nothing to do with it. Guido Fantoccini. Isn't that an Italian name? That is not racial.
He is the most ethnic in the movie. All right. Now you know how Steve feels. Okay.
I'm sorry, Steve. It must be so hard for you.
So watching a lot of these old movies, I've like noticed that much like Neverending Story, where there's no longer a matriarch or the mom has left home or whatever, it falls onto the dad to like be both, but like they just suck at it or whatever. So do you think, because like, when do you think this movie is supposed to take place? Even though it came out in, you said, early 80s, do you think it's supposed to be early 80s, or do you think it's supposed to be, like, earlier?
I think it's a fantasy, and it can be any time. I think this is all fairy tale.
Okay.
And
it knows no limits of time.
Yeah. Obviously, there were no cell phones, so we know.
Well, do you think the, that archetype of the dad who, like, is inadequate in the emotional spectrum, do you think that's like characteristic of a certain generation, or do you think it's like still
50s,
current?
60s, possibly 70s.
Okay. And probably the people making movies in the 80s were still working off of that.
They don't have the nurturing and engagement that fathers did later when they started participating in the family more.
Did you recognize the actor who played the dad?
Did I what?
Did you recognize the actor, or did you recognize any of the? Who?
Maureen Stapleton is a stage actress.
Yeah.
And she's a film actress, and she's very highly regarded. Edward
She
Herman,
played the grandmother.
Yeah, she's the grandmother. And then Edward Herman has done a lot of work. I didn't look at what he did. He was Henry the father.
I thought for a second that he was also the guy who played the Munster, the Frankenstein guy in the Munsters, but it's not the same guy.
I don't think it is, because that's the name of the Munster people. Their names were Hermans, weren't they?
Maybe that's right. That's probably why. I'm just connecting dots. And then, did you recognize the oldest son?
I know. I have that in my notes.
What's he from?
He is from E.T. He's Elliot's brother.
Yeah.
His name was Michael.
Very good, Ma.
That was one of my trivia questions.
Well,
you took my trivia
ruined it. Okay. And that's pretty much everybody. I didn't like the kid who plays Timothy and the girl who plays Agatha. I don't think they really went on.
She never did anything again.
Well,
she
she's probably
disappeared.
Probably traumatized from this.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she was. She was actually up for
she wasn't up
newcomer award.
For what? MTV Movie Awards or something? What was she in?
For Emmys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well,
I do have a list of the awards.
I think they're probably just having to flesh out the contestants or the competition. We only have 3 newcomers. We need Agatha on there too.
Yeah, but the funny thing, Tom.
She did pretty good though.
2 things. Tom only did this one, and then
yeah. Did you look?
What happened to him?
Did you see any recent photos of him?
Oh.
I always like to Google image. No, that's fine. You can make that noise. I always like to Google image these child actors and see what they look like now. And he went off the deep end. He's got like white dreadlocks or something, right?
Pretty creepy.
Yeah, he's a creep.
Kind of like Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, exactly. We already talked about Aunt Clara being a bitch, right?
She's an enabler, and she tells them how to think and what to do.
Well, yeah, and she's more concerned on presenting. I think she's kind of like that '50s thing of let's present as like a happy family. Like, oh, you have dirt on your mouth, I'm gonna clean that off. I don't care about how you feel.
And don't go out there with that. You don't have a sweater on.
Yeah,
just bugging me.
She stinks. And then I like that. I couldn't really get a sense of how much time goes by after, because it opens up with the. We don't really know how Mom dies, but it seems like she's been.
I will admit that was creepy. It was a storm. It was dark.
Right.
The doctor comes in. Oh, I know. Somebody brought up, when did doctors make house calls?
Oh.
Well, doctors made house calls through the 70s that I know of.
Oh.
So that was not that unusual.
Okay, so that's not a fantasy element. That's
no, because you don't get that today.
Yeah. No. Not on Obamacare, huh, Mom?
But anyway, she's behind closed doors. You never saw her, and then everybody's weeping.
Yeah.
And then the father's dumbfounded.
Yeah, but I didn't know how much time went by between after she dies, and then is it are they having dinner the same day where Dad is already being no time to mope, let's have a toast to us. He's a putz.
Yeah, you can't figure that one out.
Yeah. But it's pretty, I think it's a pretty quick turnaround where it's Mom dies, and then I think it's the very next day that Fettuccine, is that his name?
Yeah. Well, it's Fanto.
Oh.
That's where Fant comes from.
Fantuccine. Did you look at the translation for Fantuccine?
I did not.
Would you like to know what it is?
Oh my gosh, do you know?
Yeah. It's a puppet show. It's like a puppet.
There you go, fantasy again. Playfulness.
Creepiness, yes.
Lovely.
So, I think it's when the helicopter comes. That's cool enough, and they drop these 3 parachutes. They each get their little puzzle piece or whatever. That's all still fine. That's Ray Bradbury territory and stuff.
Okay.
It gets creepy when each little puzzle piece is a golden doubloon or whatever. It has each child's name on it, and then when they fit it together,
it what? What does it make?
I don't remember.
A heart.
Oh, okay.
Because it's love.
Well, I was distracted by the voice that comes out where it's Tom, Timothy, Agatha, we are waiting for you at Fantuccine. Creepy. Do you not agree?
Yeah, but
so put yourself in the dad's shoes, or because the kids are that's interesting enough. It's oh, this is weird.
They're all excited.
Yeah, the boys especially. But I think if you were the parent and a helicopter came to your house, like unsolicited, and dropped off these like weird relics with your own children's
you're
names.
Taking this literally.
I have to.
You're taking it. You're the logic person,
Nah.
and I'm the
emotion or sentiment.
Whimsical. It's a whimsical experience.
Wrong. Okay.
Delightful.
But I think what I noticed too is like, as far as characters go, I think Dad and Agatha probably have the most going on, where it's like, or they have like the most like grounded sort of response, where it's like Dad's response is like, because I think the relic thing, it says something about like, we've got robots that will love you, or whatever, and then Dad's like a machine that loves you, preposterous. So he's like the pragmatic, he's me or something. And then what did Agatha say? Like the boys are all excited. They're like, let's get a grandma, and then Agatha's the one who's like, nothing's ever gonna bring Mom back. So she's like,
that's true.
Which is So like I think the two of them.
She was the realist.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where on that's like, if you were to be on either end of that spectrum, where do you think you would be? Would you be Agatha being like, nothing's gonna replace my mom, or do you think you'd be like the more like Dad, where it's like, I don't believe this. It's like.
Oh, I would be more like Dad.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
I wouldn't be Agatha.
That's reassuring, Ma.
Why is that reassuring? No, I wouldn't be. Yeah, because I would want something new. I mean, I would be looking forward to something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd be like the boys.
I think you would be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We kind of talked about the factory already, and we talked about Fantaccini.
Well, the factory thing was weird because they had things floating around. They had eye colors, and they had
right.
And then they had hair colors.
They've got like a kaleidoscope where it shows all the eyeballs you can choose. Like you're actually like it's
and the color of the eyeballs, and then and of course the boys got into it, but not Agatha necessarily.
I think honestly, I think I kind of dug the factory scene as a kid or whatever. Like it is like whimsical, to use your word. It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, but looking back on it is pretty weird. Like it shows like spirits like flying around, and then
scary,
yeah, and then when another creepy voice that happens when so you know how they kind of the grandma is kind of like sort of like an amalgamation of like each child, and then like how they all speak into like the horn to like get their voices and stuff, and then like once they've completed it, then like I think one of the boys is like, Grandma, when do we get to see Grandma or whatever, and then this disembodied voice says, ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. But one of these mornings you'll get a surprise. So long. So long. Why is she sailing away on a boat?
You have to put it in the context, Eric.
Really?
Watch the whole thing. You can't just
I watched all 47 minutes of it on YouTube. Which, by the way, why is this movie not available on DVD, do you think?
Well, this was an 80s creation.
Yes,
it was actually distributed to the schools.
Okay.
You want some backstory?
Sure.
Okay. It was produced by Learning Corporation of America, which makes instructional, educational films.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Done by NBC Project Peacock. So this was produced as an afternoon school special, but it was also given to the schools. And
okay.
That's where all these people that wrote in.
So like for that time of the day that the teacher is spread too thin, has ran out of Xanax and can't tend to her children anymore.
To have discussions and learning and look at things in a different way.
Do you think I was thinking too that maybe they did sort of a, how teachers, or at least the teachers I had, they do a pairing where it's like, we're going to read All Quiet on the Western Front, and then we're going to watch the movie or whatever. Absolutely. It might have been that too.
They may have read his short story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, and the transition of how this all came about was, it started with a Twilight episode.
Really?
Oh, good. You don't know that.
It was it was Twilight Zone?
Okay. Yes. It started with, this was a Twilight Zone, 1962. Got that?
Yeah.
Ray Bradbury wrote this and produced it as a script for Twilight. It was episode 100.
It's Twilight Zone, just
This
so you
is
know.
trivia.
You're saying Twilight like the vampires.
And you love Twilight Zone,
I,
don't you?
I do.
Okay. And you love Ray Bradbury.
I do.
Okay. Then,
Guilty as charged?
Then it became a short story of his called I Sing the Body Electric.
Yeah.
You knew that.
I knew that.
And he wrote, this was a collection of short stories.
Yeah.
And that came out in 1969. And then from that, he actually wrote the screenplay for The Electric Grandmother.
Okay.
So started as an episode.
Do you think Ray Bradbury might have been part of that whole hallucinogenic drug culture of the 60s? Do you think that might explain this?
Well, actually, one of the guys said, what was he on when he wrote this?
I like that you brought in reviews and comments just to like support your argument.
Well, one reviewer said most called him a science fiction writer, but he described himself, and rightly so, as more of a fantasy writer than a science fiction writer. Science fiction has stories that often hold possible future realities. Fantasy stories are supposed to be great, imaginative,
That's true.
Unrealistic or impossible stories
right.
we can escape into.
That's like that, like
and
that.
That's the way I look
yeah,
at it.
like the Illustrated Man. You know, the guy with the tattoos. They come to life and
Did
stuff.
Did you write that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's Exhibit A of your argument.
Yeah.
Okay. They order their Casper mattress, and then just 2 business days later, their made-to-order grandmother comes via a sarcophagus hanging.
Now that's frightening.
And it's humming. The sarcophagus is humming.
Awful.
Yeah. So they remove the cover.
Which is an Egyptian kind of coffin.
Which reminds you of things that are supposed to be dead.
Which is very scary. But again, it makes death imaginative and fanciful and fairy tale-ish.
I don't know about that, but okay. So, you want to talk about how she comes to, like, how do they turn her on? Do you remember when once they open sarcophagus and Grandma is there? How do they turn her on?
They had a key.
Yeah. So they turn her on with the key.
Yeah.
And then what's her immediate reaction? There's no introductions. She springs to life, eyes creepily open.
She looks very real, which she is.
She is a real actress. Yeah. No introductions. What did she say? Do you remember?
Agatha, Timothy. Oh, you'll catch your death cold.
Let's go in and have some brekkie.
You have your pajamas on.
Yeah.
So she just flows right into the family.
I don't know about that.
She's been there all along.
That's a hard flow.
And the boys are thrilled.
The boys are thrilled.
The father is confused, and Agatha is leery.
Yeah, Larry's a good word for that. As am I. I'm leery too. So Grandma goes in. She brings them in for breakfast. This is what sticks with me, and I think this is also what stuck with Carrie too. Grandma makes them breakfast, and like she happens to know like what the dad ate like decades ago.
Yeah.
You're happy about this. She
knows everything.
And then she offers, and then like she's like a fountain drink or something. She offers orange juice, cocoa, and all kinds of fluids out of her fingers.
She knows what they want ahead of time.
Yeah, but it's like, do you know how horrifying that is for like an old woman to like come squirt orange juice into your glass like it's a teat or something? Like, that's gross. It's weird.
That's magical.
Oh God.
It's magically wonderful. I mean, she knew what drink they wanted. They didn't even have to ask her for it. And she gave 1 orange juice, 1 hot cocoa, and 1 milk. I mean, what more could you want?
Where does she keep? How does she generate all the fluids? Do you think she drinks?
She is a robot, so it comes wherever it needs to come from.
What does that mean?
She's magical. You are not letting your inner child come out. You're looking at it from an adult.
Okay, I should treat her like Santa Claus. Like, I don't need to ask how he gets down the chimney, kind of thing. It's like he just does. She just squirts. She can squirt Capri Sun out of her pinky if she wants.
Were you always this logical, even as a kid?
Indeed.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, you didn't really answer my question about where she stores all the fluids, but that's fine.
You don't need to know.
I clocked that. It seems like a lot of scenes in this movie is just Agatha brushing her hair in front of a mirror. I think of the 47-minute runtime, it's like 10 minutes of her brushing her hair.
She's thinking of her mother.
Yeah, because her mother used to brush her hair, probably.
She has all those pictures. What do you call it when you candles and pictures. She had all pictures of her mother.
She has a shrine to her dead mother.
She had a shrine of her mother.
Perfectly normal. Okay.
Yeah. So she couldn't let her mother go.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't want somebody replacing her mother.
And that explains why I think it's like, I think Agatha's starting to warm up to Grandma, and there's like, I think Grandma's hair is the one thing that she picked out of everything,
right?
Like at the factory, and that's one thing that Grandma kind of complains about. She's like, "Oh, my hair's ugly. Your hair's beautiful, or whatever."
Oh, that was wrong of her to do that.
Right, and then thank you. Not gonna let Grandma off easy.
One of the few complaints I have.
Okay, great. But then I think the Grandma offers to like braid Agatha's hair, which is kind of like still Mom's territory, you know? So then Agatha has a tantrum and is like, "No, you're not my mom."
Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly acceptable.
The movie is really about winning her over.
Yeah.
And letting her trust. She can't trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
She felt her mother lied to her because she said she'd always be there.
Yeah.
And the mother obviously passed away. I would assume, who knows, cancer.
Okay.
Let's just say. And you know, and so she's not trusting anybody, and the grandmother's role is to get her to trust, and so they have a month to get through this.
Okay, and she wins over Dad pretty quickly. She wins over the boys with her creepy lullaby that she sings. I think we haven't really talked about the music. What do you make of the music box like?
Here's what I think about the music. That's what I remember most of. I remember in the 80s, I actually wrote the lyrics down.
Really?
I loved it so much.
Do you want to sing a little bit of it?
I would love to.
Okay. Thank you.
Timothy, Timothy, never you fear. Trouble won't trouble you now that I'm here. I know the secrets that grandmothers know. Trust me to love you and help you to grow. You want me to do another one?
No, that's more than enough. But did you sing?
Anyway, it's a lullaby.
Yeah.
It's a lullaby.
Did you ever sing that to Carrie and me while we were sleeping and you brushed her hair?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Oh, God.
I just know that song was haunting, and I've never ever haunting.
Yeah.
Is a good word.
Yeah.
And then there was another.
I find the song to be unsettling, and
really?
I think you left out some of the lyrics too. Can I add the lyrics that you left out?
Oh yeah.
Agatha, Agatha, don't be afraid. I'll murder you and bury you in a shallow grave. No one will look for you. No one will care. I'll leave this town and dye my hair.
Now that's perverse. That I would be afraid of.
Isn't that unsettling having an android grandmother sing that to you?
No, that's not the word.
Close your eyes.
Turn about, round about, sharing our day, teaching each other in so many ways. Tell me the best that you dreamed you could be. I'll be the sunlight that helps you to see.
Listen to this. Turn around, roundabout, sharing our day, teaching each other in so many ways. Tell me the best that you dreamed you could be. I'll be the sunlight and help you to see. How much more positive can that be? You're just this sinister cynic in the corner thinking the worst.
Admittedly, I think I don't remember crying. I don't remember crying during this movie as a kid, but when I was watching it this most recent time, I got a little, admittedly, teary-eyed during that lullaby part for some reason.
Really?
I think it was partly like when she says like "I'll never leave you" or something like that,
Yeah.
and then
I'll always.
and meanwhile like eavesdropping little Agatha,
Yeah.
you know,
Bitch Agatha.
yeah, it's like liar.
Yeah.
You fucking liar.
Under her breath.
Yeah.
Grandma heard. Grandma heard.
Grandma hears everything. Grandma records everything too. You remember that? Isn't that creepy?
That is
I don't. That's weird. Like she records everything and she can be like,
No,
here's,
and then she does this.
here's what you said on Tuesday, Timothy. I love you, Grandma. That's weird.
Oh, she tells the other grandmas.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's weird. Like I said, did you ever watch Black Mirror on
Yeah.
on Netflix? You should. It's like it's sci-fi or whatever. But there's an episode where it's all about because as with technology these days, it's like we're all like documenting and recording like every single moment of our lives just so we like can hold on to it down the road and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like it takes it to the next level with that Black Mirror episode where it's like you're actually able to always record everything that like your eyeballs see.
Oh, no.
And then you can play it back on a projector, but then it shows like the dark side of that of like
Yeah.
and then there's no privacy, people are suspicious and like will watch each other's videos that they
Yeah.
have and stuff.
Yeah.
So watch out for grandma is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just...
She'll use it against you. Like all your most embarrassing moments she'll like bring up later probably.
No, I think her whole purpose was love and trust. In fact, she said the difference between loving people and paying attention to them, she was telling the other grandmas in the factory. She says there's a difference between loving people and paying attention to them. You can love them, but what she was doing was paying attention to every single one of them. And that to me is one of the most important things in raising children, is they felt secure and important because she thought everything they were doing was important in their lives.
However, she was programmed to do that. Remember her conversation with Dad? And Dad's like, I can't believe that a machine would have like be able to connect with my children more than I am. And then she says, well, creepily, a good machine does good things. A bad machine does bad things.
Oh, that's a good quote.
Thank you.
I do not.
I put it to memory
Did
just
she
so I could
really
use it against
say
you.
that? Did she really
Yeah,
say
she
that?
does.
Well, she was a good machine.
Okay.
It's like she was an encyclopedia.
I thought it was
of
cool.
Human emotions.
Yeah. All right. I think.
But she did scold. You remember how she scolded Agatha because she told her brother to shut up?
Right.
You know, she left the table
Yeah.
and went away crying.
Yeah.
But see, she was also a good discipliner. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she didn't let them get away with everything. But everything magical and
I appreciate, like, I always like the, I know you're saying this is fantasy or whatever, but it's kind of like, it's got sci-fi elements too with like the android and like, how far is too far with how we progress machines and like, are we replaceable as human beings and stuff? And I always am interested in stuff like that with movies like like Blade Runner or Ex Machina or Alien, and more often than not, like, we learn that we shouldn't have trusted the machines, or like Terminator or something like that. It's like they don't want to be subservient anymore. They take over and then like enslave us as humans. But like I appreciate that this shows the brighter side of android
This is
love.
only the positive, yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, there was no downside,
Okay.
except for your, frightening aspects. And the other frightening things I wrote down were the plugging her in,
Yes.
and then the hand motions,
Yeah.
and then
She's like an
walking,
iPad that you plug in
and it
at
was like
night.
tick tock, tick
Uh-huh.
tock. So I would think that might be frightening to
Yes.
a
Yes.
kid. Carrie, was that frightening part to you?
her other like robotic skills or whatever, she's able to shoot kite string out of her finger. Her fingers,
yeah.
I think her fingers do a lot of the work. It's just like,
Yeah.
But
Well, look at Spider-Man. Is that not fantasy?
What?
Is that
Oh, you're saying because I like Spider-Man, I should like Electric Grandmother?
Well, no. You just have to get outside of yourself.
All right. It's hard though.
It's figurative.
It's difficult.
She can do everything.
Her other thing is like the dad's really amazed by how much like Shakespeare and Socrates quotes she knows. I'm pretty sure she just read like Bartlett's quotes before she, I think it's not like she's like Neo from the Matrix. She just knows some quotes and he thinks that she's well read.
I think that was Ray Bradbury's influence because
he's a writer and a
that
reader.
Was based on a Walt Whitman poem.
What is? I Sing the Body Electric?
I Sing the Body Electric was originally a Walt Whitman poem, and so he brought that in. And then he also brought in Plato and Darwin, and he mentions those. In fact, that's what the father says, I can't believe you know Shakespeare and Darwin and Plato, and and that's Ray Bradbury bringing in education, and that's why it's an educational film.
Do you think this should be brought back in the schools?
It will never be brought back in the schools.
Yeah, not if I see to it.
The 80s was not so politically correct yet, and not so not worried about safe places, and you'd have to have permission to watch this film. I kid you not.
Okay.
You'd have to send a note home and say, we're showing a robotic grandmother.
I don't think so, Mom.
I think you would.
I don't think so. I think that's like War on Christmas kind of stuff. I don't know about that.
Just because of the trauma. I mean, if you guys remember trauma, and especially Carrie, this all brought up, by the way, Carrie, when Emily was over here, and she was throwing me under the bus because I forced her to watch The Electric Grandmother and how traumatized she was. And then Emily was so interested, she wanted to see it.
Really?
And of course, we no longer had it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you chimed in too and said, yes, wasn't that horrible? She poured things out of her fingers.
I don't, so to be clear, I don't regret you showing this movie to me as a kid. Like, I like that I know about it, like that it's like, because it's such like an oddity, and it's such like I don't know, like it's flying under the radar or whatever. So I feel like I kind of have like some exclusive rights to this like weird, not even pop culture, like subculture kind of thing. And it probably informed how weird I am as a person today, maybe. So thanks, Ma.
Oh, shit.
Thanks. So they get to the end of the 30-day trial, and then without warning, they're like, well, Grandma has to go. Grandma has to go back to Fantacini's.
Yeah. I remember the brothers turn on Agatha. It's you.
Right.
It's all
Let's send her back to the creepy factory.
Yeah, what was that word they said? It was so awful.
But then the grandma kind of like martyrs herself and is like, it's my fault. It's my job to make everybody like me. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's traditional of a grandmother's job? Do you think grandmothers have to work to make sure that they're liked by their grandkids?
She was going with the contract, and it was a contract.
Yeah.
And if one person was unhappy, then that was the deal. So she got back in her little. Did she get back?
I hate to think about the grandmothers the robots that get sent back to Fantacini. I imagine he has a dark side where he like he's like, you stupid, and like whips them and stuff. I think it gets terrible and abusive with them.
But the scene at the end where she's brought back.
Yeah.
Did you see them all together?
Well, those were the good robots. Those were the successful ones.
They were the ones that had completed their contract, and they were all sitting around knitting in a rocking chair and talking about their times and their wonderful times. Remember?
I remember.
And she said, "Listen to what Agatha said. Listen to what so and so said." So they were happy.
I'm pretty sure they're in purgatory, so I don't think they know if they're happy or not. You know, they're like, well, it's better than hell.
But they're robots.
Yes, they are robots, Ma. So they don't feel anything, probably.
Yeah.
He's just charging them. He's keeping them charged for the next grieving family.
She was called back for an encore, which is even greater.
Let's wait. I want to finish. I want to talk about Grandma's alleged death or whatever. All right.
I don't remember how she left.
So she okay. So like she's flying a kite. Agatha has gone like full wheeling. I hate Grandma. I'm gonna like sabotage her. I think she like cuts the kite or something. I forget. Yeah. Oh no, that's what it was. It was like when she's announcing I have to go home, I have to go back to the factory. I didn't do my job. Then Agatha calls her a liar, being like, "See, she's just like Mom or whatever. She's a liar. She's leaving us." And then she goes running off. She goes running in the snow. It's dramatic. And then like we see the first car in this movie coming down the street. Small budget apparently.
That was the first car.
Yeah.
And it was the only car.
I think they live on like that weird cult land where they don't interact with anybody else. But anyways, that's beside the point. So like Agatha is about to get annihilated by this car, and then superhero Grandma, Spider-Man as it were, Mom, to use your reference, jumps, pushes her out of the way, takes the hit, falls over, looks like she's dead. Agatha immediately feels guilty and is like addressing her as Grandma, like, no, not you too, and stuff. Yeah. That's pretty good. Like, that's good writing, I think. It's, like,
Oh,
good.
good.
I think
I
that's
like
good.
that.
I think that's good. Like, she, like, you know, she was trying so hard to, like, um, not, like, she felt guilty about, like, trying to replace her mom or whatever, and she, like,
Yeah.
also just had trust issues and was worried about somebody leaving her again.
Yeah.
As soon as, like, Grandma's, like...
Dead. She's really dead.
Then she's like, oh no, I was wrong, or
Yeah,
you know,
not
she has
you, too.
she has a little bit of a character arc, but then it doesn't really matter because then Grandma comes back to life like T-1000.
She can't die.
It's unbelievable, and that's fantasy, like you said, but
Yeah.
like it's
The grandmother that never goes away. And so then they found out though what was behind Agatha's torment.
Right.
She goes.
Well, she goes, "You're not like Mom."
Yeah. You'll
Isn't that
never
right?
leave.
You'll
better.
Never leave. Is she saying that you're better than Mom? Because Grandma,
no,
I can't be killed.
Yeah. It's kind of like having an imaginary friend. They will never leave. You can have them forever.
Do you still have some?
Imaginary grandma. And then everybody lived happily ever after. Did they not?
They did, and I think you mentioned this is kind of the other scene that you cried during, where like they're playing like King of the Mountain, and Grandma's running up the hill, and the kids are running after them,
cried.
and they're aging to the point of like probably being like they're leaving for college or something.
Well,
That's pretty sweet.
The first one went to college, and they run up the hill, and they show them as children, and then all of a sudden they show them as 20-something.
Yeah,
she say?
I thought that was a good effect.
I love that,
yeah.
and that's again the transition of life, the passage of life.
Yeah.
And they're into the next phase. And so that was very emotional for me because I look at Ryan and Mason and I don't want them to grow up, but they're going to grow up.
Right.
And they're going to be like that.
Yeah.
And so you remember the child and then you see them, oh no, they're graduating from high school, they're going to college. And so the whole transition and passage of life is very emotional to me. And that's why I identify with it so much, because I see the whole spectrum. And at the end, now that I'm the grandmother, and all I want to do is listen, and all I want to do is love.
That's sweet.
No, I think what you do is you pull out what identifies with you, what you want to pull out. And you pulled out the cynic and the horror of it.
I identify with the creepy pervert at the factory.
Rephrasing the wonderful lullaby into this horror.
Well, then once the kids go, like once they all go off to college, then it's like her job is done. She gets to she retires.
Well, my work is done. Yeah.
So she.
And who knows what happened to Henry?
I got the sense that it was like involuntary though. I got the sense that Dad was like, "Well, I don't need you anymore," and then like
Well, what she
called in the chopper to take her away, and then she like hung onto the chopper as it flew away.
Well, that luckily is not seen. We don't know.
Luckily,
we just know she goes back. She goes back.
Okay.
But you'd think she'd go back and they'd take her parts away, and then she'd form like this is all part of the recycling industry too, because they're recycling her parts and then making a new grandma. But no, they kept the original grandma, which is nice.
Yeah.
So once they've used the parts and
that's true.
She goes into, like you say, purgatory.
It's like Blade Runner Purgatory. Oh, and then you want to talk about the part where Tom comes back. He's all grown up, and they need help.
I love that. All three now have outlived, which is unusual, their families and children.
Unusual might also be a word for impossible. But
impossible,
okay.
But that's what fantasy is. And so he goes back to the factory, and he walks up to this room of grandmothers in their rocking chairs. He says, "You haven't changed a bit." Isn't that what they said?
Yeah.
And we need you.
And they all did pretty well for themselves. I think Timothy is a doctor.
Yeah.
Or no.
One was a doctor.
Agatha's a doctor.
A pediatrician.
Timothy made a moon base. I don't know about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. Sure as hell is. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one was a writer. Oh, Tom was a writer.
Yeah, but we don't know. I mean, that could be an unsuccessful writer too. Just because you write 30 books doesn't mean that anybody's reading them.
Books. And it was all because of the electric grandmother, because she read to them and she told them stories.
Oh, okay.
She was there for them.
Do you think she gets any royalty checks from Tom? I don't think she does. I don't think he's ever dedicated a book to her.
Lots of wonderful memories. She's part of their life.
Okay. All right.
It was so emotional. She comes back. Did she come back in the same sarcophagus? Did they bring her back?
I hope that they just drove her in a car.
No, I think they saw her down, and then they went to the window.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they were out.
She just came
and
out.
She was putting the kite up in the air.
Yeah,
She was
okay.
putting their
So she
adult clothing up.
Okay.
And their boxers.
Maybe she probably just took the
underwear.
I think she took the city bus to get to them, probably. I think she's on.
I think Tom just picked her up and drove her home.
Right.
Anyway, did you see how happy they were?
They were extremely. Yeah,
Oh
Agatha.
and then,
Agatha was the happiest of all, probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then they were eating breakfast together. Were they not?
Yeah.
Weren't they all around the table eating?
I'd want to check the expiration date on her finger milk, though. I think it would be pretty old by
It
now.
was curdled milk by then.
It'd be curdled. Yuck. Yeah. All right.
So to me, it's undying love.
Okay. You go and then I'll go.
Well, it's unconditional, undying love. And she was there at the beginning and she was there at the end for them. And yeah, maybe that's not real life, but somebody's there. You know, if your mom dies, hopefully somebody can replace parts of her. You know, you might find a mother in like 5 different people.
Okay.
Whatever your mother was to you, there's somebody else to replace certain aspects of them.
Yeah.
But it's just comforting to know that they got through childhood.
That's a good explanation. I appreciate that. I respect it. I think
I'll try not to attack you.
I think I was looking at it with hang-ups about how little time passes between death of mom and like dad or the family is trying to like fill that void. It's like if they might as well have just like gone out and got like a puppy or something. I think it would have been in my version. I think dad would maybe like talk to his kids more and be like
today's world he would have.
Yeah.
And they probably would have gone to counseling.
Yeah.
They would have group therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And back then though, I know my family would have never talked about it again.
Would they have gotten the robot?
If we'd had the opportunity.
Maybe gone on a vacation or something?
No.
If we had the opportunity.
No, but we wouldn't have talked. Death was not a happy thing, or illness wasn't happy, so you didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And my friend Gail, she lost her mother when she was 11, and she said she didn't talk about her for like 7 years. Nobody talked to her about losing her mother.
Wow.
And that would have been in the early 60s. She lost her mother, so we didn't know how to talk about emotions back then. And I don't think in the 80s is when self-esteem came about in the jargon of education.
Well, is that
this is a self-esteem issue. It's like, let's talk about your losses. And this is a way, when you use a fairy tale is to help you talk about your feelings without talking about them directly. You're using
That's true.
this electric grandmother,
It's like it's a myth or it's mythology, isn't it? Yeah.
Mythology.
All right.
Huh. Okay, here's the awards.
You got awards?
Well, first
Did I get one?
Rotten Tomatoes had it at 79% like this.
Based on what?
Based on 229 people that responded.
Like, did you just make 200 accounts? Did you make 200 fake accounts and make reviews, Ma?
No. They have their own website. Well, you know what Rotten Tomatoes?
No, I know.
Okay. It won a Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Children's Program.
It won?
Yes. So we're talking about the mindset of the 80s.
Yeah.
When this was probably ahead of its time. They didn't do stuff like this.
I don't know if this movie actually did have a time, though. I don't think it was ahead of its time or behind its time.
No, for the 80s to be talking about this so sensitively. So
that's good. That's good trivia. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know.
I know it's good trivia. That's why I read it.
Okay, if you want to read some of those funny things at the end.
Sure. Do you have the positive ones to read or something?
I have
good. Okay. How about you want me to read the negative ones first, and then you can read the positive?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah. We should end it with a positive note.
Obviously. So these are negative comments that you found on the YouTube video for this, or Rotten Tomatoes.
2 of them were on the what is it called on the side?
IMBD?
Yeah.
IMDb.
2 of them were from that, and they were brutal. And then the other one was from the video. Somebody commented. It was the only negative one I saw.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll read them. Did you number them for like the best ones or something?
Yeah, that
okay. I'll read the long.
That you would have written.
I'll read the long one for the best one. Okay. I recently came across a copy of this at a convention and seemed to recall as a child watching this movie several times and enjoying it. What was I thinking? This might help to explain my depraved sense of film enjoyment as an adult. I have an even better question. What was Maureen Stapleton thinking when she agreed to make this atrocity? What was Ray Bradbury thinking, or smoking, when he wrote it? A robot is sent in to take care of these 3 poor kids who just lost their mother. Yeah, that's my point. What sort of message does this send to kids? If your mother dies, don't worry about it, because she can easily be replaced by a robot who squirts milk and orange juice from her fingers and can recite to you every word you have ever uttered your entire life. Man, this guy, I should find him, be friends with him. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a great deal of respect for Ray Bradbury. He misspelled Bradbury, though. I can't be his friend anymore. He can't even...
Yeah, he's ignorant.
Fuck this guy. And his work as well as the work of Maureen Stapleton, and he has fragmented sentences. They should be ashamed of themselves. In this movie, she sounds more like someone who gargled with razor blades. There's a reason why films like this one are lost. They should remain that way. Do not show this movie to your kids, or they will try to plug Grandma into the wall at night when she goes to sleep.
Couldn't you have written that?
He hated that. Yeah. He came on stronger than I did.
Yeah.
I'll read the second one.
Okay.
I'll skip the third one. I was like 7 when I first saw this, and it gave me nightmares for years. That grandmother and the child predator in his factory, that makes them is freaking demented. It's seriously a psychotic movie that does more to damage kids' minds than feel good. Oh, that's poor grammar. She squirts out her fingers. These people... fingers with an apostrophe? Get out of here, dude. And wants you to drink her squirt. It's disgusting. How's Dad ever supposed to get laid with that? Hobbling around the house in the middle of the night harassing the kids. That guy I like a lot.
I know.
Could be a girl. I don't know. Those are good, Ma. Will you share a couple positive ones?
Okay, this one I thought could have... It's somebody that's 31 years old.
That's how old I am.
Yeah. I watched this movie when I was a little boy. I'm 31 years old now and still have great memories about the film. I found this rating site because I'm looking to buy it for my son. If you get the chance to buy this film, you will be very happy. Not only is it for kids, but also for the young at heart. Just an awesome movie. I can't say enough about it. I sure hope I can find a copy of it for my own collection.
That certainly sounds like something you would have written, Mom. That's interesting.
My grandmother passed away when I was 12 years old. I sure wish I could go to a local store and buy another one just like her.
What's the username on that?
Oh, I didn't
Is it
put
at
all the
Donna
names in.
Cuvalier?
Here's a good one.
Okay.
This is written from a parent perspective and a grandparent. Thank you so much for uploading this to YouTube. It was on TV when my boys were little, and now that I have a grandson of my own, it's particularly poignant. Now, I would love to show it to Mason.
But after you just said schools will never show this to kids.
But, Carrie, I would have to have your permission, so you would have to watch it again.
I think Brian would probably like this movie even more than Mason.
Yeah, Mason might be afraid, but I'm not sure.
But I don't care.
Yeah. First saw this as a young man, and now 35 years later, I watched again, heartfelt and melancholy for the youngster I used to be. Remember watching this with my boys so many years ago, left a lasting impression. And then I like this one. Oh my God, the short film brings back memories. All I could remember was a robot grandma that poured milk from her finger. I've tried to remember the name of the movie thousands of times over and over, and finally Googled all I could remember. I can't tell you how grateful I am to find this. I thought that was funny. So thrilled to have found.
You've read enough positive comments.
Well, there was only 3 negative comments. The ending made me cry like a baby. Breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air.
Uh-huh.
What's that? Well, so you got a bunch of crybabies who like this movie.
So, I think there's 2 things. There's, number one, that this is for the 80s. So it's a different time.
Yeah.
Do you think it's old-fashioned for today?
No.
That kids wouldn't see the uniqueness and the simplicity?
I think it's, I'd recommend, like, you brought good points all about the emotional and, like, the human factor of it, which I didn't really notice
Now,
as
so
much.
you haven't been a parent and a grandparent.
Correct.
So I have those perspectives.
Correct.
And
I have a cat, though. I could have brought that to the table, I guess. Isn't it the same? Having a cat?
Would you want your cat to see this?
I would
And would you
definitely.
allow your cat to see this?
Definitely. I would hope that if I were to die, that Scully, my cat, would get a robot Eric to take care of her and love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Squirt cat food out of its fingers. Just dribble out. Gross. No, I think you might have actually won this deathmatch, Ma. I think I would recommend.
I think you should watch it one more time.
Yeah.
With a different mindset.
I think if for no other reason than like you don't have to be a grandma or a mom to like it or a parent, but there's a high amount of like novelty of it. It's the same as like, well, I mean, it very much is like a work of Ray Bradbury where like he was so into like writing about like haunted circuses and like you turn around a corner and there's something like, you know, unfamiliar or unhuman there and stuff, and like how that affects you like physically and emotionally and spiritually and stuff.
Would you let your child see this if you had a child?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I didn't understand that it was scary for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could have provided a little bit more insight, but I just kind of said, "Oh, here's a great movie. Let's watch it."
Yeah.
And I don't think we had a discussion about it.
No, I think you turned it on and you left. I think you turned it on and you left the room and locked the door.
Well, we had used up all our Sesame Street tape, so I had to have something.
Okay. It's your last resort.
Well, I actually looked up the benefits of fairy tales and fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is he uses magic to fight fears. And to me, this was a magical thing. This is a lot of magic.
Yeah.
And the fear is of losing somebody. And so they're using this magical grandmother or this robotic
But
grandmother.
they don't really, I mean, again, they only have, whatever, an hour of cable TV time to have this movie play. But, like, they don't ever get to the point where it doesn't seem like the kids ever, like, reconcile their mom's death or whatever, you know?
No.
So I don't know if they get closure so much as distraction or like an assist in moving on.
It depends on when you lose your mother too. If they're young, it's a lot different than if you've lived a whole life with them. I don't think they went through that part at all.
But they seem happy enough when they're old people, so they're not totally damaged. Nobody ends up in a insane
the fact
asylum.
that they were grounded and happy meant that they could go further and go on.
That's all you can ask for.
You know what? We didn't know what happened to Henry.
Who's Henry?
That's a problem. He's the father.
Oh.
But yeah, what happened? Why didn't he come back?
Why did he come back?
No,
what do you mean?
He never came back with the 3-year-old.
He was dead by then.
Well.
What?
But we don't know what happened to him. Did he remarry?
I think he drove his car off a cliff. He was like, my job here is done. I mean, was there any other trivia that you care to share? I think you won the death match, so congratulations. You're the first person to win.
Come on.
What? You did. You beat me.
No, we don't. This wasn't a competition.
Yeah, well, it was for me.
Oh.
maybe that's why you won. You were just shooting free throws, so you didn't even care.
I feel passionate about the movie. To me, it was a good, I will never forget it. Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed that. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Hey, all right. I'll be better prepared next time. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, Ma.
Right.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Did you have a good time?
What?
Did you have a good time?
I did, and I just feel like I protected it.
So you do feel like you won?
No.
Oh.
I didn't. I want people to see it.
Yeah.
So you have to edit all this extraneous stuff out. That was more than an hour, wasn't it?
It's currently at an hour about. But that's pretty good, actually. When Steve and I would record an hour and a half of stuff, and that was just like a real pain in the ass for him to edit.
Well, and also you weren't drunk.
Correct.
Like you normally are. Oh, I should have put that in there.
I'm still recording, so you got it.
You really?
Yeah. Now I'm done.
You didn't record that.